Hey friends, Kevin Ostie, after hours here at the V8 Speed and Resto Shop, and just thought we'd take a look around at some of the cool projects going on in the shop. Always have a lot of neat stuff happening. Today we will start with this 1955 Ford F100, a very cool truck project. This one's been in the customer's family since definitely the 80s and possibly the 70s. And it's been stored for a long time, and he brought it out to do some modifications. So the main one you can see is the 5.0 Coyote V8 engine that we've installed. You can see the vintage airlines and the power harness for the ECM aluminum radiator. This is now sitting on a Fat Man Fabrications chassis with airbags. Pretty cool. We've done some metal work on this one, repaired some rust holes here and there. Inside we had to modify the transmission tunnel for the 6-speed automatic transmission that's installed in there now. And you can see Dakota digital gauges, and we've molded in some vintage era controls and stuff. Tilt steering column, you know, pedals and all the stuff required to do that. It's got a brand new bed that we've done a little bit of work on. Assembly wise, you can see the Ford 9-inch rear suspension. It's got coilovers in it now, but just a really great little project. I like these old trucks, very cool. And speaking of kind of an heirloom vehicle, this is a 38 Chevy. This belonged to our customer's dad, and he used to race this thing a million years ago. It came in here with a solid front axle, so we kind of blew it apart and put a Speedway Mustang 2 style front suspension, added a little Chevy crate motor. It's a nice warranted small block, something that he can cruise around and have fun with. Again, this one's got AC. We resprayed it in the color that it was when his dad had it, which is just kind of this burgundy maroon color. Fixed a bunch of metal. A lot of the floors were rusted out and sheet metal was rotten. The interior is going to be kind of a cream color, which I think goes really nice with that burgundy. This was the gauge cluster that was in the car when it came in, a neat kind of vintage Stuart Warner gauge set, so we're going to put that right back in. We made the transmission shifter housing and all that kind of jazz. Cool little car. I dig this. It's going to be neat to see it back on the road. Kind of swinging around this way, we have another Ford 5.0 Coyote engine on a stand. This is going into a 57 Thunderbird that we will see shortly. But these crate engines are nice. They're fully warranted. The nice thing about our shop is if we start a brand new crate engine from Ford or Chevrolet, and a lot of these come with warranties, you know, like 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty. Because of our facility, that warranty does not start until the customer gets the vehicle home. So for example, if this one's actually out of a Mustang, it's a takeout, but if this was a brand new engine, that warranty wouldn't start until after the truck was finished. Regular consumers on the street, they have a warranty that starts the day they get it home. So if you buy an engine, it takes you 9 months to build a car, you lose 9 months of that warranty, right? But here you don't. So over here, Mopar up on the rack. This is a 73, no, I'm sorry, this is a 74 Duster. It's kind of a neat car. It's got, you know, Kragers on it, some 70s street machine kind of look to it. It says 340 on the quarter, but this one's a 360, and it's in for some tuning and maintenance and things that we do to help keep this one on the road. Go over to the next area of the building, and over here we have a 1946 Ford police car. This one, it's pretty interesting. It's done up like a Georgia State Patrol car. It's kind of well worn. You can see the paint's peeling off in spots, and I don't know if it was a real police vehicle or not, but it came to us because it had some brake issues. And these things have an interesting axle assembly that bolts through and has a tube with an axle that goes through it. And that was marred up and leaking, and the bearings were failing. So it took us quite a while to get that straightened out, because these parts sometimes, are kind of hard to find sometimes. But now it's back on the road. We got new tires and brakes on it. Going to do some driving and then see if the customer wants us to do any other restoration work to clean this thing up and bring it back around. But it is a neat little ride. Over here we've got a 67 Camaro that we finished a couple years ago. Really slick car. Interesting two-tone paint scheme that the customer specified. But what I really like about this one is, look at how slick that rear window is. You can't even really tell where the car starts and the glass is. But it's in there. It's a little bit dusty right now. It's here getting some maintenance and a couple of little chips repaired. Full custom interior on this one, all leather. We're going to do a nicer video feature on this car later on once we get it back together and cleaned up. This one's got an LS1 and a 6-speed, so modern suspension stuff. It's got some trick body mods. The bumpers have been tucked, and it's got second-gen Camaro mirrors on it, and lots of fun stuff. Again, flush glass on the front side as well. Really makes for a slick car. Nice modern interpretation of a 67 Camaro. Ring Brothers door hinges and stuff like that, or door handles. Dig this car. And over here we have that 57 Thunderbird that I alluded to. This one, our customer bought it at an auction, and her dad had Thunderbirds like this, and she recalls the cars that he had, but after the auction she drove this thing around and didn't really like the way it performed. It's got a 312Y block and all the original suspension. So that's all coming out. It's getting a new chassis with the Coyote V8 fuel injection. We're going to do some interior upgrades as well. Make it a little bit nicer and more comfortable to drive with better audio and stuff like that. So it's overall a pretty good looking car. A black and red 57 Thunderbird. It's kind of hard to go wrong. But when we're done with it, it's going to perform as well as it looks. So let's take a move on and head off into the fabrication shop and see what's going on over there. All right, so we're back here in our metal fabrication shop. We've got a lot of neat projects back here too. This one, 73 Datsun 240. This car belonged to our customer's mom, and it came to us because it's got some rust in the frame rails and it needs a little bit of help, so we're doing some metal restoration on it. You'll see it's fixtured up on a jig so that we could remove the frame rails safely up front here. We're just getting started on this one to do the rust repair. Yeah, V8 Speed and Resto, and this is a straight 6 Datsun, but we work on all kinds of cool stuff. Over here we've got a 1970 Mustang convertible, and this one is fixtured up on a jig as well. This car is very cool. It's been in our customer's family since 1972, and the quarter panels were rusty and the doors and some of the front parts. So we're in the process of replacing all the floors and rockers, and so far it's been media blasted and shot with a gray epoxy primer. That's what this stuff is. And the doors are new. You can see the black E-coat, as it's called. You'll note that we've got weather strip in place, even though the car's not painted, and that is so that we can make sure that the doors fit properly with the rubber, because if you just go ahead and do metal work, if you put a quarter panel on and rockers and doors and don't fit the rubber weather strip, when you go paint the car and put the rubber on, the door won't close properly. So here we can see that we've got a proper door gap, and the door fits flush where it's supposed to and closes right even with the rubber weather strip. So that's what that's all about. The quarter panel has been welded on using a resistance spot weld technique, so it mimics the original factory installation. Once this has some primer on it, you'll never tell that this ever happened. But that's new, this is new. You can see on the other side that this quarter panel is getting ready to be replaced. So we're exposing the spot welds so that this panel can peel off. The reason for the repair, got a lot of body filler in here. This has been repaired once before. It's got multiple layers. We got rust. We've got shoddy workmanship on previous repairs, you know, with all this stuff. And you find all this kind of jazz when you do old cars like this. The reason why this is still blue and the edges are not is because when we had this media blasted to strip the paint off, we didn't want to waste the blast time of stripping all this because we knew this panel was going to come off. So what we really wanted to find is where all those welds were so that we could grind them out like this and easily remove that panel. You'll also notice that we've got a pretty substantial fixture here, all this truss work on our jig that keeps all the panels in line and the shape of the Mustang proper so that we can remove different pieces like this rusty apron. This whole thing's going to come off, but we've got it set up so that we'll be able to remove that and the rest of the shape of the car doesn't twist or flex or change or anything. It's all supported in various ways. So this is going to be a neat car. It's going back to its original blue, and it'll look brand new when it comes off the jig and goes through bodywork and primer and paint. Okay, we moved a little bit further back into the fab shop. We've got a '69 Camaro that recently came in from Canada. Our friend Tiago owns this one. This car has had a bunch of work done already. Quarter panels were put on, new trunk floor, roll cage, Detroit Speed rear suspension. It actually has aluminum hood and nose and carbon fiber fenders, but the work wasn't really finished the way he wanted. So we're going to be replacing some floor sections with some new pieces that are going to be welded in, and just kind of going over some of the detail work to make sure that it's as nice as it can be before it goes into the paint shop. This one is going to be powered by a fuel-injected big block that's under the hood with, you know, whole Pro Touring suspension and great stance, and it's going to be a neat car. We love '69 Camaros. We always seem to have one or two laying around here, and we're looking forward to making big progress on this one. Next up in the fab shop is this 1966 Chevrolet Impala, kind of a road warrior. You'll see the zoomy style pipes coming out back there. It has a fuel injected big block supercharged engine that's currently not installed, but the car had some metal work done to it. The owner wanted a flush glass type treatment similar to what you saw in that Camaro up front, but all of these edges were rusted away. So our team put in all new window channel around all that area and blended it in so that the glass fits properly and doesn't leak and isn't rusty anymore. I think we're going to be doing that same strategy on the rear window. You can see it's got holes in it and rust and stuff, so we'll be fixing a bunch of that. In front of this car is a chassis that is in the process of being restored. Let's see if I don't want to mess anything up here. This is for a 1965 Pontiac Tempest, and this one has been disassembled and media blasted and epoxy primed and sprayed with an industrial satin black urethane called Imron. Imron's a name that's been around for a long time. The product continues to evolve. We use it because it's like bulletproof underneath there. So we'll show you the body for this Tempest when we go next door into the body shop. And now we've come over to our body and paint center. We moved into this facility earlier this year, so this hasn't been in any of our previous shop tours. But it's full and busy and a lot going on. I mentioned before that Pontiac Tempest. This is the body of the Tempest. This one had some substantial rust repair in the bottom of the quarter panels, and we put an entirely new trunk floor in. And again, the mission on this kind of work is to make it look like we were never there. So although this panel here was cut right through there and new steel added, you won't be able to tell that that repair ever happened from the outside or the inside. You know, there's no like overlap or, you know, lap weld or anything. It's all butt welded and metal finished out, so it looks real nice. This car is going to be a beautiful shade of kind of a metallic dark red, if I'm not mistaken. Looking forward to that. Over here we've got a 67 Mustang. This one's going to be dark blue, a very nice shade. It's a fastback car. We have replaced almost every panel on this car. Had a lot of rust and damage, and previous nonsense happened to it. So now it's been metal worked. It has a skim coat of body filler that's been applied and block sanded off. And very soon this one will go into a polyester primer, sprayable body filler basically, get blocked again and then prepared for color and clear. So it's moving along nicely. Over here we've got on the rotisserie tipped on its side a 1969 AMC AMX. And this one has been media blasted and epoxy primed. A few areas are going to be repaired. You can see there was a trunk floor sectioned in and it wasn't that great of a job, so we're going to replace that panel. You look a little closer, you'll start to see little pinholes here and there in the steel, so we'll be replacing those pieces, but overall it's in really nice shape. These cars are tricky because there's not a lot of parts available for them. You basically have to find pieces from donor cars and replace steel that way. There's a few panels made, but not a whole lot. So the AMX, it came in yellow. I think it's going to go to a dark blue with an original style stripe. It's got a 390 engine that's being remachined and rebuilt right now. So we'll zip over this way into the body shop. Here we have a 69 Camaro that was restored, and it came to us because it just didn't drive right. So the customer had some complaints about driving confidence, and what we had found is we'd measured all the sheet metal out and checked the squareness of everything, and we found that the subframe underneath was actually bent. So our team dropped the subframe out. We left the engine in place. It was kind of an interesting photograph, actually, to see the engine transmission hanging, but all the sheet metal gone and the subframe came out. We put a new subframe in that was straight, and now we are correcting the alignment of all the panels to make them fit properly. These pieces are new because when they fit all of the rest of the sheet metal to the bent subframe, they had to modify all the stuff, so it actually didn't fit right. But this one has a fuel-injected big block Chevy under the hood and a 5-speed manual transmission. Fun car in the home stretch. This is a 1966 Chevelle that we did the body paint restoration on a couple of years ago. It's a custom color. It's kind of a blue-green metallic. This one has a fuel-injected 396 under the hood. It's a Holley fuel injection system that kind of hides under the air cleaner, so it doesn't look like anything is out of the ordinary, except for maybe the billet pulleys up there and some polished parts. But it's a very cool car. It came out super straight. It's a little dusty right now because it came back to get some maintenance done. Kind of an interesting color interior in this one. The kind of tan and parchment color. You can see how straight those panels are, and the body fits real nice. So that's a neat one. This area here is done for body assembly and prep work. In here is our Blowtherm baking paint booth. We've got some fenders and doors from that AMX that are getting ready to get primed in epoxy primer before metal work begins. And then in here is the mix bank where we can make all kinds of colors. So that's fun. And the last car we'll look at is a 1967 Pontiac GTO that is in the very home stretch of a complete restoration here. Beautiful car. It's an original color. Again, it came out super straight. This one looked like it came out of a lake when we first got it here. It was all rusty. It had body panels kind of flapping in the breeze. We've installed a new tailpan, trunk floor, quarter panels, deck lid, the deck filler panel back here, which of course all these cars rusted away. New vinyl top. All the interior has been restored and it's like new. We're finishing up some details of assembly. Like I said, it's in the home stretch, and this one's going to get kind of officially unveiled at the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals in Chicago. So you'll see this all polished up and on display at the big show coming soon. And it's got a fuel-injected Pontiac 400 under the hood. Just a beautiful, beautiful car. And we're very happy to have had the opportunity to restore this one for the family that owns it. So, but wait, there's more. There's another Camaro. Forgot another Camaro. Over here we're in the wash bay, and the last car we're going to take a look at is this 1969 Camaro. We restored this car a while ago, and the car was in storage and a heater caught on fire and actually melted the front end. So we ended up fixing all this stuff and repainting most of the car. When the owner discovered that the heater had blown up, he had swung this door open and bent the hinges and bent the pillar and caused a lot of damage. So it's good to see it all fixed up and ready to go home. Beautiful car. It's a late model Chevrolet truck color that has a lot of pearl and metallic in the charcoal. Really beautiful car. Came out super nice, super straight. Has a fuel injected small block Chevy in it and kind of a modernized vintage interior. So the seat pattern is true to what the original one was, but now it has a bolstered pattern so that it's, you don't slide out of the seats. And then it's got updated gauges, and but a traditional 4-speed with a big white Hurst ball. So very cool car. So if you have a project that needs anything, mechanical work, metal, body, paint, we also do all of our interior work in-house. Maybe on our next shop tour, we'll show you the interior facility. You can reach us anytime at v8speedshop.com, and we're always more than happy to chat with you about your project. See you next time.